If you want an amazing view of downtown Seattle, Capitol Hill is hard to beat and it's not as expensive as you may think. I've been showing homes today, actually condos here in Capitol Hill, for around $390, $370. And if you can get a rooftop deck, you can probably get a good view from the roof of the city. So if you want to have parties, see the fireworks at the 4th of July and New Year, sit up on the deck, drink a bottle of wine, or a glass, I should say, and have a good time with your friends. There's a lot to be said for it. Now, the units are smaller. We're looking at 1-bedrooms, we're looking at studios, and then there are homeowners association dues to take into account as well. We saw one unit today which had $600 a month of homeowners dues, which is a little bit steep, but I've seen worse. So anyway, if you want to come out and enjoy the urban life, Capitol Hill has a lot to offer, and there's a lot of fun community here as well. So check it out, and I'll see you on the next one. So that was a little intro video that I did on the streets while I was showing condos a couple years ago in Capitol Hill. And I wanted to update this video and go into a little bit more depth so that if you're thinking about living in Capitol Hill, which is a very hot, very popular area right now, you can really get a sense of what it's going to be like. So I have some additional footage that I want to show, and I'll kind of narrate to you some things about what's going on in Capitol Hill so you can get an idea of whether this really great commuting location, urban lifestyle is going to be what you want when you move to Seattle. So let's roll the tape on the next section. So I always like to start with a little map orientation just so we all know what we're talking about when we say the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Seattle. So as you can see here, I'm on Google Maps. I have Washington State pulled up, and we're near the red pin here, which is the downtown Seattle area. And so as we zoom in, we can see what we consider the neighborhood of Capitol Hill. And we've got the Space Needle, which you're familiar with right there on one side, as well as you see coming into the frame in this video below, that's the downtown Seattle area, all of our tall buildings and skyscrapers. And now we're starting to look west toward Puget Sound. So here's Puget Sound, this water as we're looking west, and there's the Space Needle. And then down here where the words Seattle are, that's to the south where all of those skyscrapers are. So this Capitol Hill neighborhood is on the east side of the I-5 freeway, and it's on a hill which is overlooking downtown Seattle. So from a view perspective, it has really great urban views. And Seattle is very hilly, and it mostly goes downhill, steeply down the hill toward the water, toward Puget Sound. So if you're walking there, you're going to get a great leg workout. But if you're living in Capitol Hill, looking over at downtown Seattle, or living up here on Queen Anne Hill, looking south to downtown Seattle, there's a lot of very nice water view property, city view property. As you can see here, we have Lake Union, and then we have Lake Washington. So there's just a lot of water, hills, buildings, very scenic, very nice. And we're just going to be zooming in today on the Capitol Hill area, which is considered a hip, attractive area. It's got a lot of nightlife. It has walkability to downtown, where you're going to get to see, the Fifth Avenue Theater with Hamilton and all the Broadway shows, The Lion King. You're going to be able to go to Pike Place Market. You're going to be able to walk or take the bus or the light rail down here to the sports stadiums for football, baseball, hockey, everything. So this is a great area. And First Hill is kind of an adjoining neighborhood where some people call it Pill Hill because there are a lot of hospitals there. So you might think it's because there are a lot of drug addicts there, a lot of homeless people there. You're not wrong, but that's not how it got the name. And so as we look at this area and think about, is this right for me? We see a lot of people walking baby strollers and walking dogs and heading over here to Volunteer Park, heading out to brunch, heading out to coffee shops, doing some shopping. So there are definitely a lot of urban professionals here that like the walkable downtown lifestyle. And the big park, volunteer park, makes it a nice kind of central destination hub for outdoor recreation in this neighborhood. One of the main drags that we'll see is Broadway. So that's where a lot of the bars and clubs are. There's also a community college down here. And essentially the view property is going to be, for the most part, along I-5 on the west side looking out over Seattle. A lot of apartments and condos and big houses. And then as we get further back, this is more of those older Victorian houses, $1 million houses, some of them, hundreds of years old. 800. We're not the East Coast. We don't have anything that's hundreds of years old. Washington State, I believe, was founded in 1889. So we don't have anything that's super old. But if we did, these are the oldest parts of town: Queen Anne, Capitol Hill. So this is where you're going to find some of those very nice older historic types of homes as well. And some of them have been really well maintained, updated, modernized throughout the years. And there are a few older ones that are not as in good condition. But for the most part, the area is gentrified, expensive, and urban. Okay, let's go to the street view and drive around and see what we see. Okay, so here we are. It's going fast. It'll slow down in a minute, but I'm driving through some of the back roads, Aloha, Roy, that kind of area here in Capitol Hill, to give you an idea of what you're going to find when we get farther away from the freeway. So on this particular tour, I had some clients who were looking at homes around $1 million, a little bit above, maybe 1 to 1.5 million. And these are the type of neighborhoods that we were getting into in Capitol Hill. Now, because of the age of the homes, you will find some that are significantly different condition than others. But for the most part, they are these bigger, older, more majestic homes, kind of the mansions of yesteryear. And some of them have been maintained and just totally remodeled and refurbished and are very impressive multi-million-dollar homes. And then some are not, they've been a family home for 30 years and that's kind of, they still have that, my grandma lived here type of vibe. So depending on affordability and what you're looking for, you may be able to find something all throughout that range. I believe this home on the corner is the one that we ended up going to see. But first, I have to find parking. So one thing to be aware of in Capitol Hill and most of the Seattle neighborhoods is that parking can be tight. This is midday on a Saturday, so it's not terrible. There are still, spots available here, but sometimes you have to have a parking pass. And you can see that the fronts of these homes are not offering garages or driveways. So people either have to park on the street in the front of the home, or oftentimes they will have an alleyway access in the back and possibly a garage, but not always. The good thing about Seattle is it very rarely snows. You're not going to have your car freezing and need to get warmed up and plugged in like you do in Minneapolis or something like that. But at the same time, it is often wet and gray and rainy, and you have to decide if you're coming through with your groceries or, taking your kids to baseball practice or something. Are you going to be comfortable going back and forth from the house to the car? Just kind of giving you a tour of the neighborhood. You can see there's a giant church on the corner. We just passed on the left a little coffee shop where I actually ended up going with these clients to sit down for coffee, have a little donut or a cookie, and talk through the contract because they wanted to make an offer on one of the homes that we ended up seeing in this area. But just, again, giving you an idea, people out on the streets, walking, new construction, somebody tore something completely down to build a new home here. This is a busier street. We're not quite in the neighborhood as much. We're on a little bit more of a main drag. And, there's some new construction, 3 or 4 story townhomes with flat rooftop decks. So you can get a variety of different types of homes here. There are a lot of condos, multifamilies, co-op housing opportunities. So if you like the neighborhood, There's something for everyone. There's something in all different price points from that little Airbnb condo that I was showing before that was in the 300s all the way up to this $1 million plus home. And I'll take you inside of that and show you around a little bit of what that's like, just so you can get an idea of the types of properties here. So this is going to be quick, and I hope you don't get too seasick. I fast forwarded things just so it wouldn't take too super long. But what we're looking at is the inside of that home and kind of the relative finish levels of everything. You can tell uh, the kitchen's been updated, but it's not brand new. The There's this sort of weird paint thing. The original hardwood floors are generally really nice in these, but they have to be refinished, and eventually, after sanding, they get worn down. Here's basement. Having a dry basement is really common in the area, but not always. Sometimes they can leak and take in water. You might have seen over there by that laundry, there was a drain in the floor for a sump pump in case of flooding because it is a below ground basement here. We often have stairs kind of descending below the ground, taking you down into these types of spaces. So this is finished, but it's not nice. It could be used for storage, a home office, some weird stuff going on with the stairs. So let's see, just staining on the floors. Oftentimes the floors will have been covered by carpet and now they're revealed. Shower, hard to have a good surround here. We've got the tile floor, we've got the old fashioned sink. So this is just kind of an example of totally livable. Small closets are a thing that's hard to work around though without doing a big remodel. You can see you're close to the other homes. Um, but it's a nice area. It's a workable floor plan. Nothing too crazy is going on, but it's dated. And depending on your level of what you're trying to achieve, this might be fine or this might be unacceptable. For most people, they want to be able to move right in without doing, hundreds of thousands of renovations. So, the deck had some holes in it. There was a nice yard. There is parking that you saw that one car garage when we were down in the basement. So, and there's a moderate lot size. You have a yard on all sides, but you're pretty close to the neighbors here. A lot of times big lots will have been subdivided because the land is so valuable this close to downtown Seattle. So anyway, I know this has been a very fast home tour, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what types of things you might encounter in a home of this age that wasn't top-notch remodeled. Now let's go to a slightly different area of Capitol Hill. This is more toward the city where you're going to find more apartments and condos and that type of a thing, just driving around. And this, I would say, is within walking distance of downtown. You can see how things are on a hill. We get a little bit more of a high-rise effect, and there's tighter parking on the streets. So as you drive around, you can see on the left in that brick building, those are all little one-car garages. And as the view starts to open up, you can start to see some of the taller buildings around town here. Now, Capitol Hill has, like I said before, it has a pretty busy nightlife scene. So there are a lot of bars and restaurants that are open after hours. And there are a lot of adults that live here. Seattle actually has, statistically speaking, a very low number of children per adults ratio. And so we have a very high cat and dog ratio to other locations. So there are a lot of people with pets here as well. Doggy daycare, and people can bring their dogs to work and that type of a thing. And you can see here we're getting into a neighborhood with mixed use buildings. So we have retail on the bottom level, the street level, and oftentimes residential or office up above. Okay, the light finally turned green, so we're rolling again. Um, and it's a beautiful day. It's spring, it's mid-afternoon. Lots of people are out. You can see up ahead some radio towers and things like that. So if you're real worried about EMF, this might not be the place for you. And this is the community college over here. My husband worked there for about a month. He didn't care for it, but it's a very convenient urban campus. You can see there's rainbow stuff painted. We're getting onto Broadway here, which is one of the main drags. You can see we're driving over some inlaid light rail or South Lake Union trolley tiles here. I don't know, rails, I guess they're called. And so there's great public transportation here back and forth to South Lake Union, which is where a lot of the Google offices are. You can see on the left here in the screen this yellow train. That is the South Lake Union trolley, unfortunately acronymed SLUT, SLUT. So if someone wants you to ride the SLUT, they might just be encouraging you to get a train to downtown. There are also buses, and you can see on the right this green area that's kind of cordoned off with these white columns or posts is for bicycling. So Seattle really encourages people to use all sorts of different means of transportation to avoid having so much traffic problems. On the left here is Dick's Hamburger Restaurant. It looks pretty crowded. So that might be unfortunately named to some as well, but this goes back probably to the 1950s. I know it was around when my parents were teens, and it's basically a drive-in or drive-up. So you park your car there, and then you get out of your car and you go to the little window. There's no indoor dining. And so you go to the window and then they give you your food in a little bag, and you could either eat it in your car, or what tends to happen is it becomes a local watering hole. People have their sandwich, their fries, their milkshake, their soda pop as we call it here in Seattle, and then they hang out and meet other people. And so it's popular, like teens, young adults, people that want to kind of be a part of the community and connect with others, get to know people. On the left, you might have seen that red bike. So we do have rental bikes here, like the Lime bikes and Lime scooters. And that allows people to get around town if they get tired of walking, especially on some of the hills, then they can ride one of these bikes. Usually you pay for it using an app, and then you can kind of stop and leave it wherever. They've got the ability to track the bikes. And so you just write it for whatever, pay for whatever, and then you can leave it dumped on the side of the road and someone will come pick it up. You can see on the left, that's a QFC. That's one of our big grocery stores. And there's a mattress store on the right. So, even though you are downtown here, you do have good shopping options available. So I will say, as kind of a word of warning, in the past, Capitol Hill has been a pretty politically active area. So um, Seattle is involved from time to time in the news for things like Indian water rights. The Duwamish were the Native Americans who lived here first, or the World Trade Organization conferences were here. They have various different like protests during the Summer of Love, as it was nicknamed by the mayor. I think it was 2020. It was around the time of the Floyd riots and everything like that, Black Lives Matter. There was an area of Capitol Hill that was essentially taken over. They called it the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, CHAZ, and so they roadblocked it off. They said, this is basically a lawless, anarchist area, no longer under the control of the city of Seattle. And the mayor was like, "Oh, that's great. You're having a good time." And so there were some burning, like burning up the Starbucks, attacking the local police station. Uh, yeah, our friend who lived down here was like, "I smell smoke in my condo." So, and there was some violence in that area at night. This is again, there are gangs, there are drugs, and I think people would stay out late and get into fights, and there would be shootings, and the police wouldn't be able to get there, and the aid units, ambulances wouldn't be able to get there because it was all blocked off because it was an autonomous anarchist type of zone. So just be aware that that is, in the mix here in this downtown area, lots of people with lots of opinions. And so we're just going up the hill here toward the park. So you can see how nice some of the homes are here and how beautiful this green space is. Looking up and to the left, you could really get lost in it, have a nice day out, walk to this area, and just enjoy strolling along, getting away from the city. I did an internship in Manhattan, and I just remember like every weekend I was in Central Park trying to find a sunny place to lie on the grass and read a book or, meet people, go for a walk, just get away from that feeling of being surrounded by concrete and tall buildings. And so this is kind of that sort of oasis here in the city. And it's nice. You can see how Seattle does such a good job of bringing in trees and landscaping. People here really love their landscaping. I'm sorry about the video work. I think sometimes when I'm paying more attention to the driving, I'm paying less attention to the videos. So I apologize. Beautiful homes, beautiful trees, lots of nice grass, people watering their grass. It doesn't stay green like that all summer unless you water it. But it's okay. A lot of people are fine. It's eco-friendly to let your lawn turn brown in the summer, so don't feel like you have to water. New construction over here, people tearing down whatever it was and building their own $3 million house the way they would like it to be. Parking, a luxury in this area, the garages there. Big, nice older homes. I had a friend in high school who lived in this area. The dad was a dermatologist, and son's a dermatologist, or at least a doctor. One of the sons is a doctor now. Anyway, so we used to go hang out at his house and walk from there out to Broadway to go get dinner or something like that. There was this all-you-can-eat Mongolian grill that we used to go get ice cream. When you're in high school, you can eat as much food as you want. My parents would give me $20 and tell me to be back home by 11. I don't know that I would feel totally comfortable sending my high school kids out here by themselves at night, but it was fine for us. We were in a group, boys and girls, so we never had any trouble. No one bothered us. And we were out until 10 or 10:30 sometimes before I had to leave. So it was after dark. Go to the record store. And the hill is so steep you can only see the sky right here. Here's a 2-story apartment building. So I think that gives you a pretty good idea for this area. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video, and we'll do the last one. Just it's on a less sunny day, so you can see what Capitol Hill looks like when it's not gorgeous, and see if you can, tolerate those gray skies at a different time of year. So here we go, driving in Capitol Hill in the clouds. And I will just say that the people who ended up buying this, or who were looking for these houses, ended up buying a house in Magnolia. So they didn't end up buying in Capitol Hill. They said, where else are the hot, trendy areas where everyone wants to live? And Magnolia, which is on the other side, it's just near Queen Anne. It's on the bluff. It's on Puget Sound. And anyway, it's an area where people go and they live there for 50 years. Like they never want to leave it. It's sort of like once you've gotten your home, in Magnolia with a view of Puget Sound, close proximity to downtown. It just doesn't get any better. So I have another video of Magnolia. If you like this area, but you want something that seems a little bit more residential and a little bit less urban, that's what I'm going to recommend you watch next. So again, my name is Emily Cressey. Thank you so much for watching. I'm a local real estate agent and I'd love to help match you up with the right neighborhood for you. So if Capitol Hill is it, or if it's not, let me know and we'll find you a place that you love. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you on the next video.